Hello everyone out in YouTube land. I am certainly not the first, nor will I be the last to compare the relatively new Mavic Air 3, which is on the left in its case, against the Mavic 2S or the Air 2S, which is on the right. I've had that for I think 3 years, and I just got the Mavic 3 3 days ago, so I haven't flown it too much, but I have some observations and I'm going to do some comparisons. So let's get to it. Comparison number one is size. Mavic Air 2S, which I'll just call the 2 or something to save time, is right here, and the 3 is over here. As you can see, this new controller comes with its own screen. You still need to have your phone, and it's a little bit of a pain that every time you want to fly it, you have to sync up the Bluetooth on your phone with the remote, which it doesn't take forever, but it's kind of a pain. But it is a nice screen. It's brighter than my phone screen, a little bit bigger, but I have a kind of a small phone. Everything over here is a little bit smaller. You can tell by the battery. That's probably the biggest difference. And this gets 23 minutes. And from what I've seen, this is easily in the mid-30s. So we'll see how that goes. The overall size of the two, if you put them right next to each other, they're basically the same, but the footprint of the 3 is a little bigger. I guess you can kind of see that. It definitely feels bigger. I think it's at least a little heavier. I don't know if it's a lot heavier. So other than that, I still have the thing in front of the camera, so I'm going to take that off and show you probably the coolest feature of the 3 compared to the 2. Right here is the 2 with, of course, its 1-inch sensor, which is very nice. No complaints about the picture this takes. I think it's a 24mm camera, so you get that typical wide shot. I've got a ND filter on it right now, and I will use the same one for both of them throughout. This is the dual camera on the 3. The bottom one is the 24mm, top one is a 70mm. I did a little initial shooting the other day, and I have to say it's pretty darn sweet. And then I got the DJI ND filter set. It's a 8, 16, 32, and 64. I have the same one with this one as I do with this one. Unfortunately, I did not charge the batteries of my Air 2S completely, so I'm not going to fly it a lot, but you're really here to see the image of the other. So I'm going to take that baby off. The wind is blowing maybe 10, 15 miles an hour, so it won't be any factor. And let's see what happens. Of course, when I fly it, I'm going to have my phone attached to the remote, so I won't be able to take any pictures other than through the camera on the drone itself. Before I take off, I'll say for the record, these are just going to be all JPEG photos, and they're going to be all 4K video at 24 frames a second. Second. Isn't that weird how you say some words and they don't sound like they should? Things to note of difference. This has the on-off button on top, which of course I'm used to, and so right when it lands, it's really easy just to power it off. The bad part of that is you can accidentally also touch it, and it would be hard to power off accidentally because you have to hit it twice. But the difference here is that the power and the indicators are in back, so you have to land it, wait for the props to stop, which of course you do with the other one, then walk up to it and do the same quick press and then hold. So not a huge difference, but a little bit. And now let's get this baby off the ground. So I just turn this on and the screen is going up. I need to charge this a little bit more. It looks like this does have antennas. The 2 Air doesn't. Yesterday I flew this. It's got that new sound, which I love. Now the wind is also picked up, so it'll be interesting to see if that affects the flying at all. What I was going to say is that the screen is nice and bright, a little bit bigger. I would say probably the size of one of the newer phones, maybe not the jumbo phones. Same basic controls, same basic controllers. And it looks like it's recording upside down. No, I don't know. So we are going to take this baby off. We'll do a sound recording, then we'll be up and flying. One other thing to mention. All right, it seems to update the home point a little quicker and find the satellites. Not sure why. This doesn't make the traditional DJI sound that I've heard, which, again, no big deal. It's a little more electronic. And so I guess I could actually film this taking off because I'm not using the camera in the remote. Let's see how this works. Quickly, the screen, if you can see it, has the same basic controls. I haven't completely dug into them, but I believe they're virtually identical to the 2S. It'll be interesting when I take off to see what happens to that little time counter. And talking about that, let's do it. Oh. All right, here's the sound it makes. There's the loudness. Now we're going to go up. To me, it seems just a tiny bit quieter, but that may just be me. I've had it up just for like 2 minutes and taken my first shot of this tree, and it's at 41. It really jumps around a lot. It was at 46, 43. So of course bird, almost a bird strike. Holy smokes. I just looked up. I don't know if you could see them. So look at, see now 48 minutes. So who knows what the real time is, but obviously way more than the 2. All right, I'm a little worried about these birds, so stand by. A couple things I'm noticing is that it seems to turn quite a bit faster than the 2. I think the speed on the sport mode, if I hit it on sport, it was like 45 miles an hour yesterday, and I think the 2 is like 37 or something. One thing that's a little annoying, at least so far, is that you take the camera with the right shutter and you shoot video with the left, regardless of what setting you have on here. One thing I just noticed is that when you have it on video for D-Log, this screen looks, you can't see it very well, but it looks a lot more D-Log-y, aka less saturated than on your phone with the Air 2S. So now I'm just going to take the same video that I shot with the other one. All right, still in mid-flight. I'm going to turn that camera off. So I'm a little over 1,000 feet away, and as I said, I think I mentioned yesterday, I got up to about 1,600 feet and then it lost the signal. Clearly, I do not have a line of sight, so kind of illegal, but I'm not going to risk flying this any farther away, even though it will, of course, return to home if it loses the signal. But the other thing I noticed is because it is a lot less saturated, you can't see, in this instance, how pretty the trees are, and so you would be tempted to think, well, why am I even filming this? But hopefully when I get back and do some work in DaVinci, it will look very cool. You can see now, even through this camera onto the screen and with the reflections, you can see after I switch it back to photo how much more accurate the colors are. Now I'm going to jump from 1x to 3x and just show you the difference when you do the camera. All right, here we go. This is annoying. I had to press it like 3 times before it took the picture, and I'm not sure if I'm not pressing it far enough. You hear it beep. I guess that's on purpose, maybe to get focus, so you actually have to press it like, or if you press it real far the first time. Huh, interesting. All right, now we're going to go to 3. Same picture. Same framing, or not same framing, but I'm going to tilt up a little. It obviously looks cooler when you got things in the distance, but there's that antenna or whatever. So when you press the front button, it automatically goes. You don't have to press it twice. So there are some pictures, pretty day in mid-Michigan. So now I'm having it do a 360 master shot, and because I've got it in 3x, you can see that it does not turn very far each time, which is kind of cool. It's going to take 137 shots. Is that what it's saying? If you can read that. That's interesting. Now, of course, there's a plane flying overhead. Hopefully it's higher than... what did it say? I think it's because of this plane. Rats. Restarted it. Is it my imagination or is the horizon not level? Can you tell? I started again despite the plane being there. It sort of looks like the horizon isn't level. Aircraft moving, unable to start. Dang it. Trying this a third time and the horizon seems more level now. I believe the plane is out of range. So it's interesting that for some reason it cannot film this when there is a plane within like a half a mile. Up, aircraft moving, unable to start shooting. Darn it. So I started this and it did not start the panorama in 3x. It had to switch to 1x. Now again, is it just me or is that horizon not straight? Not sure what the deal is. Also, it took 33 pictures in 360, and I think on the 2S it takes less than that, so that'll be interesting. I gotta get this baby back to home. This is cool. When you hit return to home on this one, it gives you this cool green road path, and you can see where it's going. It has this annoying beep also. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna just see what happens, because you get an option, return to home or land, which I obviously did not want to land, but I am coming back home now. And wow, that is cool. That is so cool. And there it is, returning to home. I'm gonna stop just in case something bad happens. I've got full confidence in it. Now watch what happens when it lands. See that? See how it moves? When I landed it at, see? So you saw that little stutter at the end, and the first time or the second time I flew it, turn off that camera. I was fairly near my car and it started drifting toward it, and that was like a panic moment because I thought I was going to break some propellers. So I'm going to take it off and land a couple times. I'm not sure why it does that, but it's very good to know. And it always seems to drift to the same direction. There's a jet flying, you probably can't see it. Now I've got the camera on the drone. There we go, and I'm going to return to home. And I'm going to land.
Return to home.
Let's see if I get that same jittery thing as before.
Landing.
It's definitely not in the same place it took off. It's close. Let's see if it does this little jitter thing. It hovers a lot higher, and then it starts coming down. And, oh, look at that. As you saw that time, it did not do the little jitter. I'm going to do it one more time and see if it's just a totally random thing or a fluke or what. Currently in the middle of an illegally high 627 foot 360, so don't tell anyone. I have checked with the local authorities, however. Now I'm going to land it not with return to home, just manually, and let's see if it does anything different. Hold on. All right, let's see if it...
Landing.
Nope. Just every time it's a tiny bit different, but while I'm thinking about it is the Air 2S has a zippered bag, and this one, the Air 3, is this clasp, which you hook like that and then you unhook. And at first I said, well, that's kind of cool, but it's kind of annoying because it's relatively easy to make it pop open, and once you do, no good things could happen. So take note of that if and when you buy one for your own self. One small thing of note on the Air 3 controller, the little joysticks are a little bit easier to screw in because they have this protruding little piece of metal. Small thing, but handy. This feels more like a RC from like a remote control car or something. It has a little more bounce to it. There we have our first set of test flights based on what little I've flown it. It handles well, it's fast, the battery life is at least 50% longer. I'd say probably a little bit more, which is super comforting when you're out and you're not always looking at how much time do I have left before I run out. As I said, the landing was a little suspect, but the last 3 times it's landed well, so that's good. We'll get back and see what the pictures look like in the video, but I have nothing but high hopes for my Mavic 3. Actually, not mine, actually the companies that I work for. Mavic Air 3, let's be clear about that. Now let's look at the difference in the two images, starting with a still of this big colorful tree. This is the Mavic Air 2S. Look how much different the Air 3 is. I can't explain that, and let's do a side-by-side comparison. So this is the 2, I'll just call it the 2, and that is the 3. I think the sun was out both times, so I'm not sure what the difference is. The trees in the background look similar. There just seems to be a lot more highlights in the 3. This is the 2 as I flew over, I think I was about 200 feet. I sped this up to 200% just because you can get a general idea of what it looks like. As always, excellent footage. Now here comes the 3 going over the approximate same landscape. I should say that I have got the color grading on this I just did based on some YouTube videos. And it's just very standard. I'm not Mr. Color Grader or anything. But just look how much different that looks. Look at I don't know if those are highlights. I mean, this was only like 10 minutes later, so the sun wouldn't have been that much different. And so now I do a side-by-side. And yeah, I cannot explain that at all. The 2 looks way better. And I'm going to have to look, I guess, into color grading and see if something is goofy or what. If it is, I shall report back. This is arcing around that same tree on the outside of the park. This is with the Mavic 2 Air S. Again, you see as you go around, you get those, you get the light coming off it, the highlights. And now we're going to do the same thing with the 3. And it's a little harder to tell, I think, in this one. They look a lot more similar. And now I'm going to do a side-by-side as soon as I get done with this. It's just, I don't know, it just kind of seems not really brighter. And now you see the Air 2 on the left and the 3 on the right. There is a lot of color difference when you look at it this way. A lot pinker for the Air 2 and a lot redder for the 3. The ground looks fairly similar. The trees in the background look fairly similar. So I'm going to have to do a little experimenting there. And now we see that same tree from straight above. I thought I did them both from 200 feet, but obviously that is not the same. That's the 3. The other one was the 2. And then this is just to show the 3x zoom. Those the same tree, and that's the exact same position with the 70mm lens. I'm just going to play these two shots as I wrap up with some closing thoughts. I mean, this again is the 2S, beautiful colors. And I thought I duplicated the two shots relatively the same. You can see the distance. It is interesting how it sort of has that sense of losing saturation, but that seems much more accurate, or maybe this is more accurate. I don't know. It just is funny how those trees, especially up in the upper right hand corner, just are kind of washed out. The trees in the bottom left hand corner look similar to the ones from the two, but I cannot say for sure. What I can say is that the 3's battery life is amazing. The 70mm camera seems really nice. This color thing is a little bit questionable. And the price, I don't know what the price of the 2S is these days, but I think just that battery life alone and the 70mm lens, to me, basically make it a slam dunk. I'm going to have to experiment a little more with the colors. But in the meantime, I hope this has been helpful. Sure has been long enough. And happy flying.